Hi everyone, I'm Old Ko, and today we'll discuss the average avalanche. Recently, a tragic event shocked the world in South Korea. On the night of October 29th, during Halloween, a serious crowd crush happened in Itaewon, Seoul, South Korea, causing 156 deaths and 173 injuries. I think many have seen the footage of this incident in news reports from various media, and I've also seen some unedited and uncensored footage shared by individuals. Honestly, it was truly tragic. I advise everyone not to watch this video because it can really leave a psychological impact. In fact, less than a month before this incident, on October 1st, a very serious stampede occurred in Indonesia, resulting in 135 deaths and 583 injuries. In 1 October, Asia experienced two very serious major incidents. The last very serious major incident occurred in Saudi Arabia. On September 24, 2015, during the annual pilgrimage event in Saudi Arabia, a stampede occurred. AP data indicates 2,400 deaths. In fact, Saudi Arabia had previously experienced very serious stampede accidents due to pilgrimage activities. As a result, the Saudi government invested a lot in building infrastructure. However, another incident occurred in 2015 which shocked the Saudi king, leading to the execution of 28 officials responsible. Similarly, 21 years ago in Japan, there was an incident very similar to the current Itaewon stampede, known as the Akashi pedestrian bridge accident during the fireworks festival. The reason this accident happened during the Ming history is because of a geographically unique location. The fireworks festival was held in a place connected to the local station by only a pedestrian bridge. This meant that everyone attending the festival had to cross this bridge to reach the venue. While there were other routes, they were much longer, and the number of people at the festival was overwhelming. As a result, many people didn't make it to the venue and instead stopped on the pedestrian bridge, which provided a view of the fireworks. Initially, there was no issue, but as more and more people arrived, they would emerge and proceed onto this pedestrian bridge, and numerous individuals from the fireworks festival location started to make their way back to the station. Thus, they would also proceed onto this bridge. Consequently, the individuals heading to the station, those returning from the station, and those who were initially lingering on the bridge all converged there, becoming trapped in the center and unable to move. Shortly thereafter, someone stumbled, and it was akin to a domino effect, causing others to tumble in succession, culminating in a stampede incident. In the end, 11 died and 183 were injured, a very serious outcome. Afterward, investigators found there were 6,400 people on the bridge, which was just 6 meters wide and over 70 meters long. This meant an average of 15 people per square meter. During the Itaewon incident, it was also noted there were about 15 people per square meter. To put it in perspective, if your home is 100 square meters, it would be like cramming 1,500 people inside. This is an unimaginable level of crowding. The level of crowding is unimaginable. I have read many reports in Japanese, and there are experts who specialize in analyzing crowd movements. They say that if a crowd gathers with more than 9 people per square meter, there is a risk of suffocation, meaning there is already a danger to life. If there are 15 people, surviving is mostly a matter of luck. There are many similarities between this situation and the Itaewon incident. The first is that the police did not conduct traffic control or guidance. Occasionally, when you venture into densely populated places, particularly during holiday seasons or while shopping in bustling areas, you might sometimes observe law enforcement officers directing the flow of people. It might seem slightly bothersome when they inform you that you cannot proceed in a certain direction, but in reality, their guidance holds significant importance. Within a crowd, we are unable to perceive what is occurring in the distance, and only the police possess the pertinent information. Thus, their guidance is not merely to make the area appear more spacious, but more critically, for the sake of safety. Consequently, it is essential for everyone to adhere to the police's guidance to navigate the area. It is the safest for everyone. Conversely, if you find yourself in a crowded place without any police presence, you should be cautious. The second similar situation is when there is a convergence of people from multiple directions in a narrow area. If it's just a matter of a large crowd, as long as everyone moves in the same direction, the chance of the crowd becoming immobilized is reduced. However, if people are moving in different directions, the crowd can easily become stuck, similar to traffic. Traffic is controlled by traffic lights, preventing cars from getting stuck. Without traffic lights, cars would immediately become immobilized. Similarly, crowds don't normally have traffic lights, so under normal circumstances, it's easy for them to become congested, which is why police regulation is needed. However, if you notice that the crowd is moving in all directions, especially if people are streaming in from every direction, you should quickly leave that area. Otherwise, you might get swept along with the crowd and be unable to get out. When should we start paying attention to the direction of the crowd? When an unfamiliar person's body is extremely close to yours, or even making contact. Typically when we are out shopping, strangers' bodies generally do not come into contact with ours, correct? Everyone maintains a certain distance. However, when a stranger's back is pressed firmly against your chest, you need to be especially cautious. Attempt to move outward towards the perimeter of the crowd. If it proves challenging to break away, it indicates you're already very close and it's difficult for everyone to move. Nevertheless, try your utmost to move towards the edge of the crowd. Move towards the outer perimeter, because nearer to the edge of the crowd, there are frequently staircases, doorways, or windows, and even if it is just a wall, it is still acceptable. If you stay close to the wall, you won't fall. In situations like being trapped in a crowd or a crowd crush, the most frightening thing is falling. Once someone falls, it becomes the focal point, and everyone around starts to fall as well, and all those who fall could potentially die. So not falling is the prerequisite for survival. You must not fall. If you stay close to the wall, it provides support, and the likelihood of falling is much lower. However, if you're in the middle of the crowd, you might just go with the flow and fall. You simply go along with the movement, and if you happen to fall, then you fall. Additionally, even if your mobile phone or wallet drops, do not attempt to retrieve it. If you try, you will likely fall, and falling can be extremely dangerous. It is an unavoidable consequence. Therefore, in these circumstances, whether you are trapped or not, you cannot control your body to move as you wish. At that moment, it is irrelevant what falls. Now, if you are entirely immobilized and unable to move, what can you do? Unfortunately, there is no escape, but there are still numerous actions you can take to survive once the crowd becomes immobilized. That particular phenomenon is characterized by waves of people occurring. You can observe this in the Itaewon footage, where continuous waves of individuals keep surging one after another. This wave of individuals is not initiated by someone pushing from behind. Rather, it is a natural occurrence that transpires when a crowd becomes immobilized. This wave is the primary cause of a crowd avalanche. Once it begins, individuals may topple, and if one individual falls, those surrounding them will continue to fall, resulting in everyone being stacked up in that location. Therefore, once you find yourself trapped, it is essential to mentally brace yourself for the wave to arrive, and when it does, make every effort to prevent your body from falling. You must not fall. The place where people fall is always the most severely injured, so not falling is the most important thing. I've said this many times, and everyone must remember it. Once you're trapped in a crowd, the only thing to pay attention to is not falling. Of course, not falling doesn't guarantee survival, but there is a slight chance to increase your survival rate by not spreading your arms open. You should keep your arms in front of your chest, leaving a little space for your chest. Of course, once you're completely trapped, it's not useful at all, but in the early stages, it can help you hold on longer than others. To avoid fainting prematurely, some people fall not because they want to, but because they faint, like if your arms are stretched out and this part is completely exposed. Once it's pressed, you might not even last 30 seconds. If you faint, then when the wave comes, you'll fall, and if you fall, an avalanche occurs, and everyone around will be in danger. Therefore, it is imperative that everyone maintains their arms closely positioned to their chest and refrains from calling for help in this manner. It will not be effective. Once you are confined, this action becomes entirely futile. Additionally, when the wave happens, refrain from complaining, insisting that someone is pushing. Keep in mind that no one is deliberately pushing. This wave is a naturally occurring phenomenon. Complaining will deplete a significant amount of your energy, which is not beneficial for your survival. In conclusion, before venturing out, it is essential to have some understanding and awareness of the location you are visiting. If there is crowd control in place, such gatherings are generally considered safe to attend, for instance. Events like competitions or going to Disneyland are perfectly fine because they not only have a limit on the number of people, but also have staff responsible for your safety. However, for activities that are not regulated and have no limit on the number of participants, everyone should try to avoid attending. There are quite a few such events, like going to see the New Year's Eve countdown, where there are definitely spots with great views, but these spots can easily become overcrowded. Once it gets crowded and you're stuck, that's it. I remember back in 2014, there was a stampede in Shanghai because people went to see the countdown, and it resulted in the loss of 36 lives. So if you find yourself in such a situation, check it out first. If you notice a lot of people, you still have the chance to leave at any time. If you decide not to leave and think it might not be a big deal, you should always pay attention to the direction of the crowd. If everyone is moving in one direction, it's fine. But if many people start coming in from different directions, you should quickly leave, especially when strangers start getting close to you. When someone starts to make contact with your body, you should leave immediately, otherwise you won't have a chance. If you haven't successfully left and are trapped in the crowd, what you need to do is keep your arms in front of your chest. If you drop your phone or wallet, don't try to pick them up. Try to conserve your energy and breathing and wait for rescue. That's all you can do. In situations like an air crash, there's nothing we can do, right? That might be considered fate, but incidents caused by crowd gatherings can be completely avoided through our own efforts. We can completely avoid this through our own efforts. Lastly, may the victims from Itaewon rest in peace, and I hope that everyone can stay safe and sound every day from now on. Well, that's all for today. See you next time. Bye bye.